Well, good afternoon. This is Michael Harris here, coming at you perhaps for the last time, um, and as a student for National American University. This is my last class as I have pursued my MBA in Process Improvement and Project Management. So, for this particular slide presentation, we're talking about managing crisis projects. And during the earlier lessons, the case study that we talked about or read about was the case study involving the Tylenol crisis. So, as I've read through the case study, we've come up with some questions that I'd like to answer and that I feel very happy about answering. And the first one talks about when a crisis project occurs, who should be the leader of the crisis team? Well, in my opinion, the most senior leader of the company should manage the team. In the case of Tylenol, the CEO James Burke was at the helm of the investigation, and he took the bull by the horns and he saw it through um, to its completion. So to me, it's very important that what I call the head honcho be upfront and visible during any of these types of events. It's very important that you maintain positive visibility during a crisis. So they go on and ask, will there be a crisis committee or crisis project sponsor? Well, each crisis can be different, and they often are. But depending on the severity of the crisis, it will dictate the levels of involvement. Um, for the most part, you will need a team to go out there and investigate uh, on the ground, find out what happened, answer all the five W's: who, what, when, where, why, and how, and do all the necessary research to identify the problem and begin taking measures to solve that crisis. So, will there be a committee? To some degree, yes. A project sponsor? Maybe not, depending on, once again, the severity of it. Now, this is a very, very important question, and it is how effective or how important is effective communication during a crisis? That goes without saying. You have to be very transparent, which means open and honest during a crisis if you want to survive the effects of doing otherwise. If you are a shisty and deceptive type of company or person, then you will face certain scrutiny and possible criminal charges when this matter ends. So, for me, as you know, I like to bring in examples, and I'd like to insert the most current example of this type of failure is the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Now, this has been going on for a few years, and that the local government there, the governor and his people, uh, have thrown each other under the bus between the governor's office and the EPA. They have been using deceptive practices. They have been lying. They have been covering up, and now they face possible criminal charges. Um, for what? For to prevent people from having clean water. You know, where do you draw the line? Where's your morals? Where are your ethics at when it comes to clean drinking water for your community? So um, during a crisis, you need to make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's and maintain great records of what you're doing to resolve the issue. And you should have, and one of the questions asks later on, should you keep records? But yes, you should keep records of what you're doing, what you have been doing prior to, and what you're doing afterward. So, how important is stakeholder relations management during a crisis? Whew. This is absolutely of the utmost importance to keep your stakeholders in the loop of what is going on. If they trust you and they feel that you're doing everything possible to rectify the problem and they can see the transparency, then you will have no problems gaining and maintaining their support. Tylenol, which is the classic example, they kept everyone abreast of what was going on, and therefore, to this day, they have maintained the faith and confidence of their stakeholders, and they have also gained many, many, many more. So, should a company immediately assume responsibility for a crisis? Well, I had to think about that one for a brief second, maybe a moment, and I would have to say no, um, because at some point in time, it may not be the company's fault. So I would say that once the problem is identified, then an investigation needs to take place and find out the origin of uh, the problem. Now, if the company is at fault, I would expect them to stand up and take full responsibility, and once again, be open and honest about what happened. Transparency has got to be the most important thing during a crisis like this, um, which goes into the response time. Um, this has got to be very important. If you are already, in some instances, you're already caught slipping to some degree, now you have to ramp up your efforts to resolve the issues at hand. There are many examples of how a delay in response time can affect millions of people, such as the Flint, Michigan crisis, the ISIS situation in the Middle East, the Ebola virus outbreak, etc. Uh, so the longer you wait, the more people tend to panic, and this makes the crisis more dominating, which gets more publicity, and it puts people in a bad situation where they have to react in different ways and they're being micromanaged. So, after all of that happens, they want to know how important is it to show compassion for people that may have been injured. Well, this is extremely important. If you are callous in your actions, then you will face certain despair wherever you go. Uh, if you are the person that is in charge of something, if you're the CEO, the officer in charge, if you're the project manager or whatever, and you are responsible for the health and welfare of people, and if someone should get hurt or killed, it is imperative that you show the families of the affected people, the communities, that you are sympathetic and empathetic to what has happened. And you definitely need to be sincere about it. You can't just go out there and just check the block by saying, hey, we went out there, we did this, we did that. If one of your employees or even a customer, stakeholder is injured because of your wrongdoing, a building collapse or a dam break, and it was your responsibility. You need to own up to it, and you need to display the most sincere sympathy and compassion for those that are deeply affected by it. As a soldier, when soldiers are injured or killed on the battlefield, or even in various training situations, the immediate chain of command is there for that injured person or the killed person, and they're there for their family members to assist them in any way to make the situation a little bit more manageable, but also to show that someone really cared about that person. Because oftentimes when someone gets injured or killed, the company kind of, you're out there on an island by yourself. Now, how important is it to maintain a paper trail? That that goes without saying as well. You always need a paper trail before, during, and after any type of project that you are doing. Uh, you set yourself up for failure if you're a delinquent in that aspect. You should always have meetings, and you should always document the minutes of those meetings. You save them and you publish them as needed. You make sure everybody is aware of what's going on, even the good, the bad, and the ugly. Uh, good meeting notes, bad things. We all need to know what's right, what's going wrong, what we need to do to make things better. And if you keep the paper trail, then you'll be okay. And it could also help save your company or save you when it comes time to litigate the crisis in a court of law. So, you know, with any type of problem that you have, like I said, the good, the bad, or the indifferent, you always want to capture the lessons learned. Um, I always like to use my favorite example of the military, because this is something that we do and we document all the time. After every type of training event that we have, uh, we sit down immediately and we conduct an AAR, or an after action review. So everyone that's involved in that training event is involved or is included in the discussion, and it allows everyone involved, to provide their input based on their perspective as to what went right or what went good, what went not so good, and what we can do in the future to make this type of situation better. So when you include everyone in the conversation, the risks are minimized in the future, and people are often more focused on future events because we discuss things that may have uh, killed, injured, maimed someone, or. And so when you have that focus and it's brought to their attention on the next training event or project, they'll be more apt to go, oh yeah, this is what happened the last time, and they may not make that same mistake twice. So, in conclusion, I would like to say this was a great little case study, and I'm grateful to Tylenol for being as transparent as they were, and it worked out for them, and to this day they're still one of the top producers of Johnson and Johnson for being transparent. But at this point, Dr. Smith, I would like to say that I'm so happy to end this course with a positive attitude. Um, I've been thoroughly enjoyed the last 8 to 10 weeks of this course and the interactions with the other three of my peers. But like I said, this is my last class, and I will graduate with this MBA. So this adds to my collection of picture frames on my "I Love Me" wall. Um, so I just finished up my PhD in healthcare administration from Capella University. I also have a master's degree in management, master's in healthcare administration, and now this MBA in process improvement. So as you see, I'm not quite sure what I want to do when I grow up. I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment, and school has been fun for me at this point. Um, so I am looking to throw my name into the hat to become an adjunct professor, as you were probably one of the most positive instructors that I've had this last year of going through this course. There's been quite a few hiccups with some of the previous courses of this, and I get it. Project management is something new that NAU has initiated, and they had some issues with some of their software things that they made us purchase that I wasn't very happy with. But uh, so perhaps I can ask for your endorsement or letter of recommendation uh, should that time arise, which will be here pretty soon. So once again, best of luck to you and your family, and my personal email address is listed on here. Um, if you would, if you have the time to offer a letter of recommendation, I would highly appreciate it. Um, so once again, thank you. And my last is, of course, my references, so I don't get dinged for that. All right. Well, you have a great spring, great summer, and great 2016, and whichever direction this country goes as far as the president is concerned, I could just say good luck, and hopefully we can navigate through that. All right. Thank you very much, and have a great day.